We're up.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Littleton Finance Committee meeting of June 2nd, 2015. This is Paul Glavy, Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, chairing tonight. Betsy Bowling, our chair, is not able to join us tonight. We have a brief agenda and it shouldn't be a long meeting. We'll start with a budget and finance update. And then we have a reserve fund transfer request. We actually have two of them since this was posted, Veteran Services Department as well as the Highway Department. And then also we have minutes from our May 4th meeting, which we were sent, although our secretary is not here tonight. Bonnie, would you mind keeping minutes for us, or is somebody going to keep them? Okay, because it'll be pretty brief. Does anybody have any objection to that agenda or want to take anything out of order here? I notice we have Jimmy with us, so we could do him the favor of let him out of...
Yeah.
Okay.
He's up past his bedtime, so I gotta get him home.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. Given that input, I concur fully, and so that there is a reserve fund transfer request relative to the Highway Department with the vehicle replacement. Everybody got the information on that, correct?
Yep.
Right, okay. I don't know who would like to speak to that in terms of making the presentation, Bonnie or Jim, either one of you. But.
Basically, because the insurance check that we received for the damages is over $20,000, and I'll let Jimmy speak to the event, but under Mass General Law 44, Section 53, you have to go to town meeting to actually appropriate that money for an expense. You can't just spend it on the repairs. The next town meeting is...
So if it were less than 20,000, we
just-
wouldn't even be here,
We
right?
wouldn't be here. We could just do the repairs and go on. The problem with waiting for a fall town meeting is this is a piece of apparatus that is used to remove snow. So to wait would be significantly detrimental to their operations.
Okay.
The check is in hand. It's in the amount of $29,912.94. So the option would be to close this check to the general fund and not require it to go to town meeting for a vote, and use the reserve fund balance, which is $99,000 as of today. We would request that option.
If we do that, it becomes free cash available another year out,
Yes.
not even for next year?
No, for next year, because it comes in June, before June 30th.
Okay.
Check
It's
would be
available.
cash before then, right? Yeah.
Right, it would be available for
Okay.
next year.
For the benefit of our audience, maybe just to remind members too, maybe either you or Jimmy could speak to actually what it is we're talking about, what's the $29,000 for and what happened?
January 24th, 2015. Was going from one sidewalk job to another and was on the main road. A car came off the highway and hit the side of the machine, spun it around, tipped it over.
You were in it?
Yes. So, as bad as it was, I didn't get hurt. I went to the hospital anyway just to get looked at, which was a waste of time and a bunch of money. There was no fluid leaks or anything out of the machine, which was like another bonus. We were able to tip it back up. We had to get a wrecker to come and tow it back. That was right before the blizzards were going to start. So we called our dealership and they were able to take it on that Monday. We just weren't sure if they were going to have it, sitting in their yard. They're like, nah, bring it by. And they were able to fix it good enough to use it, and we were able to get through the winter with it. And it took a couple of months to get a price for, because it has a problem with the cab. That's the major part of it. And it has what they call a ROPS canopy, which is a rollover protection structure. So it pulled two bolts out of the ceiling, or the roof, that hold a brush guard. So there's two holes this big that just pull basically a bolt out. Well, they can't recertify the cab, so you have to put a whole cab on it, which seems ridiculous. And as soon as the insurance guy looked at it, he goes, yep, you need a cab. And the majority of that's like $14,000 for the cab. So
What's the balance of it for?
there's about $10,000 in labor because it's all wiring and everything to change it over. They need to put a track on it, some bogey wheels, a spindle, some other.
How old is it?
It's a 2008.
How much is it new?
We paid $108,000 for it. It has 700 and something hours
Do
on
those
it.
have seatbelts in it, or did you get like bounced around on that thing?
It does have a seat belt, and at least this time I was wearing it. Because it beats you around pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I bet. Get knocked around, get knocked upside down, I'm sure.
What road were you on, by the way?
I was on King Street at 495 southbound on ramp.
So does the window pop out? I mean, is it like a emergency egress window?
No.
You just
So you have to roll it over
pushed it
somehow?
out?
It fell onto the door. There's only one door. So I had to climb out a window that's maybe this big by this big.
As you pointed
Oh,
out,
yes,
you
yeah,
were
we
proud
saw,
that
yeah,
you
you
were
brought
able to
the
be, yeah.
That's what I said, I'm kind of agile
Yeah.
for a big guy. and-
He brought us in a cardboard cutout of.
Yes.
Were you wearing your shorts that day, Jim?
I was not. I did have my winter coat
We
with
didn't even have a short.
It was, you could see it coming and then, but I'm a true company man, because as I'm tipping over, I'm like, gonna have to go get the other machine to finish the sidewalks. So we were able to get our stuff done, and there was a lot of concern with people, which is actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
And everybody did a good job, and it could have been a heck of a lot worse, and
That's good.
That's why we
I'll
have
move that
insurance.
we approve the reserve fund transfer for 29,000,
912.
whatever the. not figure.
29,912.94.
Seconds.
Okay, and that would be to account number 100-0420. I think the motion has to include that, Bonnie, is that correct? Okay, and, all right, so under discussion, I would just point out that, since this is a reserve fund transfer request, the threshold that has to be reached is whether or not we determine it as being a unforeseen emergency nature, and I would say not so much for the accident part of it, but the fact that the insurance forces us into the next year, and that, for the reasons of having the vehicle replaced before the next
Before the next snow
season, we're justified in doing. I only point that out, not opposing this at all, just for the record, so that, as other requests may come in down the road, we, keep track of that factor, that the reserve fund is not there for everybody to just empty out as the fiscal year comes to a close, but, okay. So that's my piece on that. Anyone else want to speak to the motion, motion or second? No? Okay. Then, the motion, I'll read it from Bonnie's presentation, Brett, if you don't mind. And the motion is to approve the reserve fund transfer request insurance amount requested is $29,912.94 to account number 100-0420 for the purpose of insurance reimbursements over $20,000 must be appropriated by town meeting to spend. Repairs cannot wait until fall special town meeting. I'm not sure how flowing that sounds, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. All right, you two have already signed.
yeah.
Great powers of anticipation back there.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it.
Okay. For consistency, or just following along, do you want to handle the other reserve fund requests next, Dave?
Sure.
Sure. All right.
We have a small reserve fund transfer request in the amount of $240 total for the veterans agent. It's going actually into two different account lines. There's a $15 increase in his veterans membership dues, and his expense budget is very tight. So, he only gets a few $100s a year, so $15 is money that he doesn't
So
have.
is he good for next year?
We did increase the expense budget for next year, so he should be okay. And the other $225 is due to an increase in the Memorial Day expense for wreaths. We used to get this locally from the
Weber's,
forests, yeah, and they're out of business. So he did a little shopping around. He was able to negotiate a discount with Westford florist, a 33% discount.
I hate to get into the details here, but I'm curious, did he try other folks in town? I mean, like Cataldo's or
He tried a couple of different, I think he called 5 different vendors.
Okay.
And he just went with the cheapest
or
one that was
other people
able
with
to.
connections to town, like Penards or, in Air? I mean, did he go to those folks? Do you
I don't
or-
know if he went to those
Yeah.
specific ones, but I know he
I mean,
called.
I obviously am not concerned about the dollar amount, just like to see them use local people.
Yeah, I
and
think he
assume-
started there.
Yeah.
I think he started locally. So the amount is $225 for the additional cost overage for the wreaths. But as I said, he was able to negotiate a 33% discount with the vendor that he did finalize with.
Okay. You want to read that, Alan?
Yep. Move that we approve a request for fund transfer for Veterans Department in the amount of $240 to account number 100-543 for $15, 100-661 for $225, totaling $240.
Second?
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for a vote. Ayes in favor of the reserve fund transfer requests as stated?
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it. Okay, so we'll circulate this for signature.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And what does that leave us?
About 60,000. Yep. A little bit less than 60,000.
Gentlemen. All right, so I think the only other printed material we have here is a treasurer's report, cash report. Did you have a specific report or a general report you want to make, Bonnie, or do you want to summarize these?
Basically, I just wanted to let you know that we're starting the closing process now. We're getting everything together and all of our entries finalized. We have not received any updated information from the state yet as far as, final cherry sheets or anything like that for 2016. So we're still holding in balance. I'm relatively optimistic that the numbers that we have will finalize in some.
There hasn't been much change in the expectations since about February, right? I mean, everything seems to be in kind of agreement.
What will we do if cherry sheets were lower than we expected?
I'd need to look at all of the other receipts too. I'd look at, to see if our local receipts, maybe we're gonna.
What if it
be
was a
higher.
net, loss, or, what we were expecting is less than we're gonna receive? How do we address that?
You can go to the fall town meeting
So we'd
and-
just be in a deficit,
and
honestly,
modify it.
until we fix it.
Or we can let it roll, if it's within a reasonable amount, you can just let it go because we have that, in our financial policies, we keep a certain amount.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And to let it ride if something happened like that, but we do have options.
It was quite a while ago, I don't even remember, it was before your time, certainly not before these gentlemen's time, but we had one year where we went in like a 1/12 budget or so, and we were just spending each month on the basis of 1/12.
Yeah.
Because the legislature, I don't know if they had not settled their budget yet or what it
Yeah,
was.
it was way late.
Way late, yeah, like September or something or other, right? And we were going on a percentage of the prior years, or percentage of the prior year's budget, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah,
So there's a mechanism for it.
there's lots of options, but
Right.
I think with the reserves we have in place, we're well prepared.
Yeah.
Should anything happen. The other thing that I have is the, as you said, the cash report. This is, by policy, we need to give this to you and the Board of Selectmen semi-annually. The only thing of note, I guess, on the back is the exceptions to the policy, which we don't necessarily have to take any action to it, it's just something that needs to be put out. So the exceptions are, the only exceptions are securities currently rated below A, and you can see what they are, and they're BBB+. I don't think that there are any concerns at this point. They are companies that I'm sure you're all familiar with. And we've listed the, potential losses or for those particular
So
securities.
that's just on investments?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to, continue to monitor them. If we need to make any changes, we will, but at this point, these are the only exceptions to the A rating.
So when were these investments made? I see the cost basis and the market value are very close.
I'm not sure. I would need to check that with Steve, but that's something, maybe going forward, I can have that added into one of these columns.
Maybe to have a total
Yeah.
market value versus cost basis, because it doesn't look like it's substantial.
No, it's
Right.
really,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the maturity date's one thing, but to know when we acquired them is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a column we can add.
yeah. Are the commissioners of trust funds, are they involved in this at all, or is this exclusively the treasurer?
Steve does work, they're actually meeting upstairs right now. He works very closely with them.
Anything else worth pointing out here, Bonnie?
No, not really. Everything else, we're doing pretty well.
All right, and our, your expectation is that you, and Betsy had put out a proposed schedule with this anticipation that by July 14th, you'd had everything ready for us to,
Correct.
anything we need to vote to.
And I should have a, preliminary year-end close to
Right,
kind of see
close
where
the
everything
books.
lands. But there will be some transfers that need to be approved at year-end, maybe some between line items and maybe some reserve fund transfers. I'm not aware of any
Right.
pending reserve fund transfer requests. They'll probably all be accomplished between line items, but those do require the Finance Committee approval.
Okay. All right, so we look forward to that on Bastille Day.
Absolutely.
Anything else in terms of budget or finance update? No, thank you.
Busy, just.
We did have minutes circulated from Maryland, I think a while back from our May 4th, I believe we did. Or was May 4th, is that the town meeting one?
That was the town meeting.
Town meeting, did we get that? I don't recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
We
that.
did?
And,
Yeah, because it was
Alan
very short.
corrected-
Okay, all
Corrected
right,
my
all right.
being present.
Well, if somebody's memory is strong enough to venture a motion, I'll entertain it.
Oh, it was marvelously done and right spot on, so
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Chris should second, because he was the one that,
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, all right, all right, I'm hearing Chris's second. Motion's been made and seconded then to approve the minutes from the May 4th meeting as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. We have no other posted business. We wish Betsy well, hope she's doing well. If she set up a schedule for 2 meetings, I believe, one in July and one in August, certainly expecting that we'll probably have occasion to meet beyond that. We just don't have set dates. And I think I'll just reiterate what Betsy had mentioned in her memo. If anybody knows of vacation or other conflicts, forward it along to her, and she can incorporate it into, any further scheduling. And with that,
So moved.
I'll take that as a
Second.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's been fun. This time of year is nice.
It's all right.
Yeah.
you go, right?